Okay, good to go.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to this Friday's Tech Talk at the Tech Academy. Today we have video game designer Kyle Rhône, who's going to give us a presentation about game development. He was working over 20 years as an animator, or 20 years ago was working as an animator in the entertainment industry, and then made the switch about 12 years ago to video game development and hasn't looked back. And he's been involved in the development of over 15 games. So he's got a ton of experience and is happy to answer questions. So feel free to, I don't know what you prefer, Kyle, if people want to type their questions in the chat box or unmute themselves as we go along.
Yes, feel free to interject at any point. In fact,
Great.
just you can turn your mic on and do it. I don't mind. If you type it into the thing, that's okay. I probably won't see it is the thing. And then yeah, as long as you could, yeah, just
I'll monitor the
chime
chat box for you for sure.
Yeah.
And just in case people don't have functioning microphones. And with that, I'll let you take it away, Kyle. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Like I said, I don't have a lot to do today. And there's, a lot to do in the world at the moment. So I'm Kyle. Feel free to talk to me on Discord. I will try to get you a link to the Discord that I run, which is actually a PCC group. So I am also teaching at PCC, kind of, what do they call it? Gigging. They kind of gig at PCC sometimes. And so I started a Discord channel for my students who are in that. So if you guys want to go into this Discord, I'm kind of just throwing it open for anyone who wants to talk to people who have worked with me before and maybe know a little bit more about my styles and things, because I say crazy things, and it's not. It is maybe a little bit exaggerated, but in general, what it is passion. So I have a lot of passion for this world, and I am willing to learn new things. I'm willing to see where this goes, and I'm pretty excited to actually be in an industry that is largely pandemic proof, that has the ability to train people to think, and system designers are going to be crucially needed. I will just kind of say my humble opinion that the United States is kind of, their systems are crumbling a bit, and we might want to have our own systems in place just in case. So in a very real way, I kind of do believe that game designers can help in the world, because it is a lot about reframing how to think, problem solving. All of these things are great tools for artists, coders, designers, game designers specifically, and audio engineers. Everything is needed in our industry, and story people, well, not everybody has to have a story, but there are a lot of pieces to play with in this industry, and I think that is the strength. All right, if you can see how things are kind of run, we're in an industry that of kind of one-upsmanship. So because of that, and for fun, not necessarily for profit. All right, so we already solve problems as gamers on a daily basis for fun. All right, so be aware of that. You're already doing it if you play games. So being a developer isn't that much different. It is in fact very different than just playing games, but you have to understand the games, how the kind of systems involved in a game before you can kind of break the rules and make your own. So I'll just say this, rules should be known, but also broken. and I'll have to like start going a little slower there so my handwriting isn't so terrible. So just like everything in any industry, in anything at all, you kind of got to like learn the rules first before you can start breaking them. All right. This is very much in the world of animation, and where your job is to bring things to life. Well, if you kind of ignore these rules up front, you get kind of cruddy, kind of off center, and maybe it's okay, it's cute, for the internet or whatever, but for like Disney's not going to hire you for this. So you kind of have to play along and like kind of learn like the rules, and I'll just do a little document here. And once you kind of know what's going on, then you can do whatever you want. And at this point, whatever you want isn't super helpful. You've probably come across this yourselves. I call it blank page syndrome, because when you're an artist, like the worst thing you can have is nothing there, because you're staring at a blank thing, trying to make decisions with not enough information. So it's all about decision making, which developers develop a condition known as decision fatigue. So artists do the same thing, audio engineers, same thing. I don't think any of the four main groups of game development are excluded from this. So what are the four main developments of the main areas of development? So I'm actually gonna start doing this a little differently. So there are the visual arts, because I would like us all to kind of think about this a little bit differently. There are the audio, AUDIO, audio arts, design. There are the coding arts. And then the game design. Blah. Game design. So all of the words over here on this side are kind of interchangeable. You can have visual design, visual arts, visual science, visual design. So these, let's say, I guess I only got like three names here, but audio arts, audio design, you get the idea. Audio science. You need to start thinking about these as like, I'm not just an artist, I am also a scientist. All right, the scientists are also the artists. All right, so there's really no difference. Everything you can do in any of these quote unquote arts or sciences can be played with in ways that developers kind of have developed for iterative purposes. So I want to say iterate, evolve. Okay, so these, what does it mean to iterate? Hopefully you'll be getting this kind of stuff in your educations as well. But what you look up online, in fact, maybe we should just do that. Hopefully I don't have anything to here, and type in what I want, just in case we got to record by bookmarks or something.
As of now, it's still showing the Blackboard. I'm not sure which sharing. Oh, there we go. I see it. Yeah,
it's coming. I just was going to type it over here on my other monitor.
Perfect. I was going to say, we can't see anything yet.
I should have done this before. Just open a couple tabs. And what I was looking for was, crap, lost my train of thought. So this happens when I like start to open up a new window.
You're talking about iteration and evolution.
Yes, yes. Let's just look up what the internet says about iteration. You don't have to be a fast typer. You don't have to be a good speller. This industry is very forgiving in these areas. I am a terrible speller. My English is atrocious in spelling, anyway, and it's kind of crazy. All right, so here, when you look up iterative process, you get basically this. Here we go: design, implement, evaluate. Design, implement, test. All right, so your testing is over here, your QA and whatnot. Up here are your game designers, and over here is your coders. All right, so art, art, code, and art, code, audio. Sorry, art, code, and audio are here. Design, come back, and there's kind of feedback loops here too. So this is mostly what you get, and I'm actually glad to see like these. What happened? Google. Okay, so these kind of graphs are what you're going to see, and in my experience, clients hate these kind of graphs because there's no end to it, right? And no end means no end to the amount of money you're going to draw and the amount of time you're going to do. So I'm glad to see that some of these are getting a little bit more abstract or complicated. You know, something like this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is good. But let me show you the way I think about it. So when you're pitching stuff to a client, you can just easily explain it to them without complicated graphs. So you have design. It's the same graph, though. They do have to each know this. So you have design, implementation. Now I don't know if it's implement or an E. It's the vowels that always get me. And test. And normally they go like this. And I would say that that's actually okay, except you want to go like this. Every time you go by each one of these things, you're narrowing in on your goal. All right. So you're winding towards the center. All right. And that's probably an E, right? I don't know. Whatever. When you get the idea, at every point you're like checking with other people to make sure that your goal, which should have been decided before you even started. Okay, so whatever your goal is, go ale. There we go. Cool. Whatever your goal is can be like, and it's measurable, right? It's like, are we closer to the goal, or did we just go further away from the goal? Because sometimes this line, you're supposed to go like this, but sometimes it goes like this, and before it goes back into there. Okay, so you can lose ground, but and you will lose ground. Also, one of the things that most people are super frustrated about is you will lose 90% of your work. You will just get used to throwing away 90% of your work. All right, only 10% of it will ever see light of day in terms of publication, or in terms of like even publication releases, those kind of things. So don't forget to try to keep that ego in check, and throw away this 90% when people suggest you do, because they think there's something better on the board, right? And this is fine. This is why you have all the extras on DVDs and stuff, is because there's like hours and hours of this, just like there's hours of footage in a movie and hours of footage in animation. All right. So, so these are good things to kind of consider. And let's move on to I never leave myself enough room, so we'll try this now, and we'll go on to the lifespan of a video game. Okay. I'm kind of changing my visualizations about this too, because we have things called like life cycles, food cycles. The Earth is full of cycles, but really they kind of that implies like it keeps going around and around and around. Where lifespan of like humans, anything that's alive, has a definite beginning and a definite end, right? For our time on this plane of existence, right? So you get born and then you go like this. Video games are the same. You have actually, and if these were humans, you'd have lots of them, right? And they'd be kind of intermingling, and some of them maybe have shorter lifespans, and some of them have like longer lifespans. All right, video games the same way. The beginning of a game always comes down to an idea. And this idea is lazy, good for nothing idea. All right, so your first idea probably going to be crap. But you don't want it to be crap. So you got to do the next step. All right, and the next step would be to document your idea. And this seems very straightforward and easy, and why am I even talking about it? Because people don't think about this. It is like almost assumed at my level that you've already gone way past this. But you need to shop your idea around. In order to do that, you need to document it. So if you can't get together a game design document, or GDD, then then go ahead and be a hobbyist, like, because this is the level that even hobbyists do this. So but if you can't get past this bit, then go do something else. There's plenty of other things in the world that we need, and a game designer might not be for you. Try the art way, or try the there's let me show you where they fit in here. Okay, so you as a game designer, never mind. You as a game designer kind of start here, right? You get it, you shop it around, you show it to your mom loves it, you show it to your friends, they have some suggestions, and you get a little bit, take it a little personally, because it is your baby. So you kind of at this point have to kill your ego. All right. Don't take this personally. Take it as constructive criticism. All right. So this is super hard. Everybody's got to practice this. And what I suggest is like, I hear you. I hear what you guys are saying. I gotta think about it. All right. You don't have to do what people suggest you do. In fact, you should stick up for your principles, for like your goal. No, and you say, well, but this completes my goal of this. And if you say stuff like that, they're like, well, if that was your intent, then maybe this different approach. So really working together with your community is key. It didn't used to be this way. But now that brick and mortar stores are essentially gone, and we have Steam and Epic and whatever else, that we have now migrated through the App Store and everything to just download these things. So you don't have to go to publishers anymore. You can, and if you just have the idea, you can take this document directly to the publisher and sell it. Right? If they want it, right? And then they will make the game. But if you want to go indie and like do it yourself, which is what most of Portland does, you tap the community. So you have an idea. Well, you go to the Portland Indie Game Squad, Big Squad. I recommend this organization a lot. They've got a Discord server. Check it out. Their website's great. They hold game jams, and if you want to just practice or meet people, or you need a musician and you don't know any, go to Pig Squad. Ask for Will. He's the leader, and Dylan. Which you will see these guys around town if you stick in this field. So either of them will be able to answer questions. I don't remember who else is on the board. So all right. Sorry, that was a bit of a sidetrack, huh? All right. Where are we going? In a little bit since I've used this one. All right, so publishers. Let's talk about publishers. It used to be that you would just shop this to the publisher, and if they liked it, they would take it, and maybe you'd be on the team. You could make that part of your contract, is that you could be on the team, or if you just wanted to sell it, that's fine too. Publishers are places like Electronic Arts, Blizzard. Well, actually, let's hold off on Blizzard for a second. Activision, Blizzard's parent company. All right, the publishers. I mean, there's tons of them, but they used to be kind of grouped in these kind of bigger areas. Atari. Sorry, this is okay. So here we go. PlayStation, Nintendo. And Microsoft. So these guys, and then there are more, Ubisoft and whatnot. They're publishers, and they pretty much they hire developers to make the game. All right. So in the old days, you would have a publisher sign off. So like I worked on a game called Big Time Rush Dance Party, and if you're not familiar with Big Time Rush, it is about 10 or 12 years ago, a phenomena on Nickelodeon that was a manufactured boy band and they had a TV show along the lines of the Monkees, if anybody has ever seen the Monkees. But they're just basically, a manufactured boy band having a lot of fun. And we created the game for that. We were hired because we were stupid enough to take it. Let's see. Big Time Rush Dance Party. So, oh wait, here we go. Josh reacting to Big Time Rush Dance Party.
Basically Wii Music. It's basically Wii Music. It's basically the same exact thing.
Okay, that's enough. Actually, I don't know if you could hear that. Could you hear the video?
Yeah,
well,
I can
anyway.
hear it. We can hear it.
So go ahead and get this review. I haven't watched this one, but I'm gonna guess he pans it as he should. It is not a good game. I mean, it is a clone of a dance game, and the thing is that we were hired to do it in 2.5 months. So it went from I flew out to from Portland to St. Louis, Missouri on July 4th of like 2012 or something, and spent like 3 weeks kind of intense training on the Nintendo Wii because it's an archaic system, even for the time, was terrible. And you know, the specs were terrible. It was, and it turns out, like, unbeknownst to us, that the Wii U was coming out that month. so we had a whole other hardware that we could have been doing, but didn't have access to. Anyway, it was kind of a cluster, and we did, you know, we did what we could. This is so bad. Oh, awesome. I got to bookmark this. Here, I'm saving this. All right. I love it. Anyway, I agree. This is not something that I would have published. However, we kicked ass in terms of everything else. The publisher said, we don't really care about the quality. It just needs to be on the shelves in Target by Black Friday. And so I was like, you know, fine. I don't care. Then you're throwing this. The budget for this was about $250,000. So that, you know, sounds like a lot, but it goes pretty quick when you've got to pay people to speed it up for 2 months. So anyway, this is my my biggest failure in terms. Well, it's not actually my biggest failure, but this is how to work with publishers. Oops, sorry, there's a little cat that goes walking on my keyboard. All right, so what's my point? My point is publishers are cool for money, but there are a ton of strings attached. Your idea will probably be unrecognizable from the beginning. So what are the other options? So publishers have kind of, instead of doing that, we have kind of gone to Kickstarter and things of that sort, which is just basically coordinated begging. But Kickstarter is phenomenal. Not necessarily for video games. Video games have had a rough time there, mostly because people fail to deliver what they promise on. Well, for board games, it's a completely different story. Kickstarter saved the board game industry, in my opinion. It allowed indie developers to get publisher-like money, so they can move on. In video games, it's a mixed bag. It's about 50-50. Sometimes it comes out. I'm still waiting on something from like 10 years ago that's just not. It's just going. It's crawling, you know. Oh, hey, what was that? Knocking glasses off my desk back there.
That's kitty.
I know you need attention. Yep, you need attention. But that's
Feel free to have the cat in your lap while you present.
Intermission.
All right. Luckily, I have doors. All right, so Kickstarter, great. I don't see any reason why, even if you did have publisher approval or something, why anybody wouldn't use Kickstarter for any project, really. It's basically just, you know, you pitch your idea, and it's hard to do that. It requires some time and money to do Kickstarter. It's not just like you get it. You got to dedicate about a month beforehand and a month during your Kickstarter, two months of one for prep and one for launch. But we've been pretty successful. Our Kickstarters were, I forget, I could look them up, but it's not important. Like 14K for one, and then like almost 30K for another, maybe. We did a board game. So this was a board game. And then this was a dice set. So, so not just in video games, but game design in general is essentially systems design with a focus on entertainment and focus on making things fun. And wouldn't it be great if our taxes were fun to do? It would be great. So, you know, we can design this stuff, right? And these systems I see in real life, they just need a big upgrade. Like our voting, all of this stuff. We just kind of, we can do better. We can definitely do better. And if you guys want to hang out with me, let's try. All right. So, what do? Developers. Let's kick on into devs. So at this point, you have okay, on Kickstarter you should have already figured this out, like who is on the project, who is available, and you kind of push their creds on Kickstarter and online, and with the publisher you're like, oh hey, even if you're going to like Nintendo and saying, hey, I have a team, we've done this, and we launched this Kickstarter, we want to talk to you. You just kind of have to make these connections, and the gaming world is actually very easy to make connections. I don't think I've been in an industry that was more generous. Okay, it is generous beyond belief. It gets a bad rap because of things like Gamergate, which is the exception, not the rule. However, we do have to check all of that stuff. I am very tired of seeing people look exactly like me in game development. I think we need a bunch of diversity, and there's no reason why we can't have that. But it kind of takes us as the white dudes to kind of start that, all right, and say, hey, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about this? So, developers. So who are developers? Well, they can be anybody. They are, but you're going to need several. You're going to need somebody for audio. You're going to need somebody for code. All right? You're going to need somebody for art. Animation too. Now, you don't have to have animation in your games, but it sells it a lot. The way I look at it, these are what sell the game to the public. Like, it's got to look good, it's got to be pretty, and or it doesn't have to be. Well, it has to be kind of unique, I guess I should say. It doesn't have to, whatever that means. It has to be intriguing. All right, so that when people see it, they can recognize it. You're like, aha, I recognize that. And then because audio is not really necessary. I mean, it kind of depends. Like the people who buy games and the people who are on Kickstarter don't necessarily watch the videos. So so audio isn't a huge selling point. In fact, a lot of it is just kind of muted by default. But the kind of experience that you're going to receive in the video game is what you'd like your visuals to communicate. Okay, so this is mostly about the user experience. All right. And actually, I take that back. There's everybody has to do UX. But the person in charge of the user experience is the game designer. So each of these guys needs to do UX on their own, but it depends on how your team is situated, but typically this is how we do it, is we have the game designer kind of calling the shots about what particular user experience should be happening via audio, what should they be feeling. Audio is almost always about feeling and emotion. All right, so audio brings the emotion. You combine that with visuals and you get crying and stuff. That's what movies do for us, right? Now, code is basically the oddball in this, because we've already had like years and centuries now of film and storytelling and stuff like that, but but programming as a thing hasn't really taken off since the 80s, right? 70s, 80s, in there. And so an interactive experience is something we can now have, right? So they also need to be thinking about this, but more typically, they're kind of in charge of implementing stuff, right? They just build it and make it work. Hopefully, if you're a good programmer, you know all about audio stuff and you know all about visual stuff, because it's your job to combine the things that people give you into what the game designer wants. All right, and on projects that I've been on, I've been usually these two guys. So I've been the coder and the game designer, and then I hired out the animation, even though I've done it for years, but I just didn't really have time, and I knew how to find, or I could tell by seeing somebody's portfolio if they were good or not. So I decided to hire out my previous jobs to other people on our projects. So implement and combine. So you combine the bits from the audio and visual people. They yeah, that's relatively straightforward these days. Gone are kind of the days where you have to build your own engine. I have migrated through rolling our own game engine to Microsoft's XNA to Unity, and now I'm in Unreal. So I actually like all of them. Game Maker Studio I hear really good things about. I don't have any personal experience with that, but I highly do recommend you check out Unity and Unreal. They're both free-ish until you publish. Then there are some caveats. But if you are, I don't know that I have recommendations in this area. Unreal is a beast to learn. It's got a lot of moving parts. And Unity doesn't. Unity is relatively straightforward coding in C#. Unreal kind of has blueprints and C++, which isn't as easy to read, in my opinion. But man, it looks nice right out of the gate. Neither are, one is not better than the other. It just kind of depends on what you're trying to do. If you're making a first-person shooter, there's no reason why you shouldn't just be making it in Unreal. It is a first-person shooter engine first. But they both have great things. If you so developers do this. I don't know. I probably need to break this out a little bit more. So let's kind of handle what each one of these does. So we'll do audio. So in audio, I know of 3 programs that are kind of industry standards. It's FL Studio. Anybody here who's audio, who's visual, who's interested? What are you guys mostly coding, or what's the? Okay.
Yeah, I would say mostly people interested in coding. We do have a game development boot camp that we just launched that does cover both Unreal and Unity game engines.
Sweet. Great.
Personally, I'm interested in the creative storyboarding, the writing side of it, but I want to learn coding to get my foot in the door.
Okay.
I also see a hand raise from Joseph O'Malley if you'd like to speak up.
Oh yeah. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. I was just gonna say, I'm a musician. I'm just wondering, where's some good places to look to break into the freelance. How do I say this? Freelance soundtrack development. Would that be what it's called?
No. But talk to me. So you're interested in making a freelance soundtrack for?
I'm just saying that I'm looking for Is that a thing people do? Is that an in-demand field at all? Like where would you point me to? Who should I like? How would I even start with that?
So, all right. So, let me try to regurgitate this at you. So what I hear you saying is that you're a musician and you would like to do some music for a game, right?
I'm
So you
sorry, I'm
don't-
completely illiterate in like the game field. I'm just
Sorry. I had a stupid fan came on in the background. Can you say that again?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just really illiterate when it comes to like the gaming industry. I'm just wondering, do people need musicians to make soundtracks? Is that something?
Yes.
that-
Yes, they do. Yep.
What-
Yep.
what-
Okay. So let's talk about musicians for a little bit, because they're a little interesting. Because they can float around between Hollywood and our industry. That's what the problem is. All right. So, musicians, you're probably going to be freelance. Let me just finish this. Logic Pro on a Mac. Ableton. One more I'm forgetting, but that are I think there's like 4 industry standard ones. But so yes, when you have a contract as a musician, they are kind of not really very standard. So you'll probably be freelance. And what you need is like a SoundCloud portfolio or a portfolio. I'll just SoundCloud, I think, is a good place. People send me their portfolios on there, and just start posting things there. Then, if you want to get involved in an actual video game production, seek out Pig Squad. And make invites into Pig Squad? Probably not. To invite people? Oh wait, I can.
I'm also happy to like be a middle person to coordinate connection between because I sent out an email. I'm Kenzie at Learn Coding Anywhere, and I'll put that in the chat box. But if there's any coordination you want to get in touch with Kyle through me after the talk, I'm really happy to facilitate that.
Right. So here's what I don't know where to type into. Where can I just put the things there?
Yeah, so there is that little kind of like word blurb box square in the top right corner. If you click on that, it should open up a chat box for you.
And you just you can type in the bottom of the chat box
There we go.
and yeah, enter what you want.
All right. That should be the Pig Squad Discord server. Yeah. And it'll get you... It'll get you in here. But yes, this is a great place. I'm over here somewhere, I'm sure. You know, Kyle Rhône over here. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me, really, on Discord, because then my email is just too spammed at this point, and I don't really go in there, and nobody phone calls anybody anymore. So I feel like those are communication tools of the past, and so Discord is going to be my current one. If you really want to get a hold of me in a reasonable time. All right, so yeah, take a place, go work with people, do any of their game jams, because this is great portfolio fodder. You can just make games in like a weekend with people and then take them and apply for jobs. So what you don't need for this industry are grades or even like a diploma. And I don't discourage people from going to have education, and far from it, but I want you to know that nobody will ever ask you for this stuff. And so you have to back it up with proof that you can do your work, right? So it's probably great that you went to school. And in fact, the great thing that school gives you is like a consistency. It is consistent because you have the same teacher instead of the internet, which is very inconsistent. And then it gives you colleagues, a chance to meet colleagues. Uh-oh. I think I did it. And so your other students are your colleagues. Do not forget them. All right, work with them. Try to because these, if your friend gets a job, you know about it. Maybe that's the opportunity. And yeah, consistent structure, colleagues. I mean, the knowledge is there too, but you know the knowledge, I guess. But you can once you're out of school and in the field, you will have to keep learning because the industry evolves. So I guess learning, I don't know, so like maybe tools for structure of doing something. I don't know. There's benefits to school for sure. Now, on the visual front, you can kind of break these down into 2D and 3D areas. And I kind of put animation a little bit separate. Because there's a different, so there's a couple different types of animation. In fact, animation is kind of a catch-all word for anything that moves. However, true animation is the idea of bringing it to life. Bring to life. And so animation is pretty important when you get into immersion. So you get into these immersive experiences, animation really sells it. All right. So what is animation? Well, I'm in an animation program, and you can drag, oh God, uh-oh. Hopefully I will be able to find my spot again. But here's some other things, when I was kind of going over, like, here's an example of a simple GDD. Remember when I said write it down? It doesn't have to be stellar. It just has to be written down. So here it is. I created a bubble pop game. That was just kind of a small game. And the entire document is this piece right here. Okay, so it has bubbles that appear and float up, and then you click on them and they pop. All right. So don't get too afraid, I guess, if of the things that I've been saying. If this sounds like you're never going to do it, then just try. So 2D, obviously, you're going to want to learn Photoshop and Flash and those things. I use Krita. And I use Blender. I also use Clip Studio, whatever it was, Manga Studio a long time ago, but it's now Clip Studio Paint or something like that. It's a Japanese paint program that's actually great for comic booking. Anyway, so 2D sprites is what you work with in games. 2D. You'd also work in illustration. For something like a board game manual, or box art or anything like of that nature. 3D modeling, right? And yeah, these kind of go in separate directions, but they're similar. So, and this one is pixel based. These are pixels, whereas this is, well, here is not. In 3D, you tend to have instead of pixels, you have vertices. All right, and we'll just do this. See, okay. Here we go. You can see these are vertices. Right, so this is the difference between Illustrator and Photoshop. If you don't know that kind of thing, there are plenty of free and open source tools. I use Krita; it's open source, and pretty fantastic like brush engines. My problem with Photoshop has always been you can't just get in there and draw right away. It really is a Photoshop thing, and you can kind of, you know, you need the photo first, or you need like somebody's illustration first, because you can do amazing things like once you have something there. But it can be done. It's just like you got to go to the extra effort. Whereas in these other paint programs, they just give you brushes. You just go right away, off to the tracks. Animation. I don't know how much I can break this down further. So vertices are dots. Here. There are three kind of building blocks to. There's only one building block to. Well, two building blocks for 2D is pixels and color. You got to choose both of those. Basically, a location and a value. Okay, so pixels and color. Basically, that's what you're concerned with in 2D. In 3D, it's a little bit more complicated, but there are advantages once you get to the animation stage. All right, so kind of. There's verts and there are edges, and there are faces. All right, and the classic example is a triangle. These are the verts. These are the edges. And if you tell the computer to fill this in, that is the face. Right now. Modelers string these together and create fantastic, things, and build whatever. From this, you get your geometry. All right. There's another part, and sometimes these are given. No, this one then. Okay, let's get to that. So after you sculpt or model and you get the geometry right, usually there's a part for retopology. So topology. So you get to redo the topology so that it fits, so you don't have as many vertices. You clean it up so that it is optimized for the game engine, and stuff like that. At that point, you also unwrap your model so that a texture artist can texture it. And oftentimes, you're expected to do all of these things as a modeler. So like if you're hired at Liquid Development, for example, in downtown Portland there, they expect, when they say model something, they mean all of this. So including the texture. But you might they might take that texture and then pass it off to somebody else to clean it up if you weren't like that great. But basically, you need to unwrap the UVs, which is basically how your geometry fits on a 0 to 1 coordinate system on X and Y. So like if this was my thing, then it could be, laid out differently than it is in 3D space over here, so that I can color, this part here blue, and then this one would show up blue, and I would color this one. Oops, green again. Do I have red? How about red? Red, and then that would be like this one being colored red. I don't know if that makes sense. This is really, really quick, and then this is a pixel image.
So that's kind of like a 2D image that that controls and affects the mapping of the 3D image.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So
want to take a second. So sorry to interrupt, Kyle, but it is 2:00, so some people might be rolling out. And I did see a question in the chat that I just wanted to make sure to address, just in case Roger's got to head out soon. And he said, I don't usually enjoy playing indie games, but I feel capable of developing one. Is marketing the most important part of making my new game stand out from the many other similar indie games available?
well, okay.
Sorry, it's a little bit of a non sequitur, but
No. So not at all. So yes, marketing is important, but it is not the most important thing. The most important thing is you have a good game. Now, how do you find out if you have a good game? That's a difficult question, but is your game fun? Is it fun? Well, right, and this is a completely subjective question, right? So how do you find out? Well, you pass it around and you try to find a YouTuber who will play it and things like that. There's actually easier ways to find out if it's fun, because if you can release it, or you can even get anybody's attention to play it at all, it has to be good, otherwise they're never going to come back. They won't tell their friends about it or anything like that. So marketing, I would say word of mouth marketing is probably the best currency you've got. Ads on Facebook and the Super Bowl. I mean, where are you going to market this stuff that's not just already on the platforms where they exist? So yeah, if you're interested in making a indie game, please do. And then if you want to let me know about it, or somebody over at Pig Squad, that's great. And then we'll tell you what we think. You'll get honest feedback from us, and then and take it from there. I will say that your game doesn't have to be fantastic. It's not like AAA games are all the rage. I mean, let's not forget that Pac-Man is a legend and super simple and super iconic. All right, so these days, when you say video indie game, you're almost assuredly saying arcade game. So go ahead and come back and revisit the nostalgia of these more simple games. Build those first. Build up your skill set. And just like anything, anybody can do this. Nothing is hard. There's just a lot of it. Okay, so no one piece is hard. No harder than this. There's just kind of, but hopefully this will give you a bigger idea, because there's only one thing I have to add to this before you all go, which is so at this point you've gotten your money and you've developed your game. You're gonna have to release it, right? So releasing is actually very easy. You just put it online. Now, getting paid for it may be a little less easy, but I will say that nobody who's doing animation is making any money doing indie films. We are making quite a bit of money doing indie games. All right, you're not guaranteed to have a success, but if you embrace the community and listen to what they have to say about your projects, it can only help you. So when you release it, it just kind of depends on what you do. There's no good time to release it. There's no bad time. these days. It used to be Black Friday was everything, but it really just isn't anymore. It's been stretched out over the entire year now. So you've released it, and people love it. Yay! I don't know. That's not loving it, but and they start to ship your characters online. So when you release this, you have to let go. Some people try to do lawsuits or something to try and maintain things, but at this point, you almost want the community to love your characters and your game enough to, like, put them into relationships that are non-canon, right? And so this is kind of the new reality. It used to be just, Diablo was on the shelf and you'd go buy it and then you'd play it. Well, now it's like you go get it, but then there's also a bunch of fan art and stuff like this, and that is fantastic. That's how you know you've made it, is if people are using your material to do memes or to do anything like that. So some will upset you, all right? The way people use your stuff in the real world without your permission, it will upset you. But just try to try to roll with it. And try to do interesting things with it instead of like, don't do that, don't say no. So classic example, EVE Online story. I don't know if anybody's familiar with EVE Online, but it is a brutal.
Yeah. I play it.
You do?
Yeah,
right,
it is very brutal. You can do practically anything. It's well, let's say spies are allowed. Stealing other players' crap is allowed. Betraying others and looting their entire corporation is not only allowed, but explicitly part of the metagame. You have to watch out for spies and possible traitors in the ranks. It's amazing.
Here's a classic story of two MMOs, okay? Here's EVE and WoW. In WoW world, everything is very restricted. People were banned for making it into areas that they just kind of weren't supposed to be in, but they somehow found a glitch to get into, and then they were banned. And I'm like, why would, sure, maybe, but it's kind of your fault for not like locking it down and stuff. And yeah, maybe you warned them, but they went back there to see. But they're just hackers. They're not like, devious. And in fact, they should be rewarded for for finding these things. On the other hand, over here, EVE Online, there was a group of people, and they. I don't really know the whole story, but so I will paraphrase it. They were able to somehow like push a NPC quest giver or something like that onto a ship, and then they just kidnapped it, kind of preventing people from coming back here and finding it, right? Because if the NPC dies, he'll respawn at the quest spot. But they kidnapped him, so no one could complete the quests. And this would have definitely gotten you banned over here. And CCP took a different strategy, though. CCP has their own coalition inside the game called something, I don't know, but it's called
the CCP Corporation, just that.
Okay, so it's just the CCP Corporation. Okay, cool. They what they did was they put a bounty on these guys' heads. So everybody, and then like every day that the NPC wasn't there, they raised the bounty. And so pretty soon the entire server is hunting for these guys, trying to take them out. And I think that's fantastic. Like that is the way developers should be engaging with their community, right? Now, maybe you don't have a game that's like an MMO. Don't make an MMO, for God's sakes. There are too many out there. People are already, their time is already taken up with at least one MMO. But anyway, it is. I like this story because it's playful, right? The playing was the solution. So I'm a big believer in play. So play with your stuff, play with the pieces, get out there, and life hack stuff. Like we hacking is now okay. We have words like life hacks. We need hackers to maintain our security. In fact, so hack away in games, hack away in your life. Try to be a white hat if you can. Look out for your fellow humans and your fellow animals and minerals. All right. Don't cause the least amount of pain as you can, please. and if we all do that, things will go a little better. I think I'll
I've got
end there.
another question in the chat if you have a moment
Yeah.
to answer that. Mark Roenfeld asked, he said that he's worked in games with Maya for animation modeling and Photoshop for texturing. And he's asking how you would describe the transition to open source software like Blender and Krita.
Are you pretty knowledgeable about that stuff, where you could just spend an afternoon with me and I would be like, oh, the bevel tool is here, and then like stuff like that? Yeah, I would totally do that. Does anybody want to do a Blender class or something? I mean, we can. So if you'd like, yeah, I'm open to anything really. Like I said, I arrange the pieces at this point. I can't say that I'm exactly retired, but close. Yeah. Yeah, I would be glad to like forward you on to other people too. There's a Blender. See, the problem is now we're you can't go anywhere, right? So there is a Blender PDX, there's an Unreal PDX, there's a Unity PDX. In fact, Unity PDX is run by Dylan here. So yeah, Dylan is freaking awesome. If you have any Unity questions like at all, just talk to him. Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, one last thing, I guess. I did want to do this. If you are interested in the world, which you should be at this point, because we are, in my opinion, we are fast approaching the end of what nations can do for us. And even though nations are kind of a relatively new phenomenon, which is like just the last 300 years, before that we had empires and shit. So global, right? Think global. And the only industry I've seen so far that has a global map of where you can go. So here's Eugene, here's Portland. If you just click Portland, down here is several places that you should check out, and you'll meet pretty much all of them if you go to Pig Squad events. Again, Pig Squad events and like these Unreal things are kind of sidelined, but they try to do the best they can on Discord. But we have some stuff in the area that is here. Don't hesitate to like contact really any of these people. Say, I'm right here. My website looks like maybe Proxy server. What is this? Ah, yay! It doesn't do anything right now. I just kind of have it locked out. But I don't know what else is happening. So the Portland Indie Game Squad, Pig Squad, there's a website. Night Dive Studios. I don't know, just for an example, they're over here in Washington. Yeah, if you looked at my LinkedIn, it probably says I'm in Iceland still, but I'm just in Vancouver, so at the moment. I'm trying to get back there. But anyway, yeah, whatever. Game dev map. I clicked on this little Iceland button a few years ago, and went and worked for Licorice over in Iceland for 2 months, and then before coming back, and so you get a lot of this. This is so here's Marco's website. He's from Italy, and this is kind of his portfolio, and his portfolio is a little bit like it is a programming portfolio. So if I think that this is a pretty good way to display your portfolio as a programmer, because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say like, oh, here's this witty piece of code and everybody's gonna like it. And like, not everybody, it's whereas like if you're a storyteller, you can tell a story and everybody likes it. But anyway, so check out gamedevmap.com. It's got all sorts of cool places. There's Johannesburg. I have no idea. Johannesburg. But please get your passports and go see the world if you can. A lot of these places, will have in Europe anyway. Basically, any part of this world, I kind of know how it works. If you have any questions, I do not know how it works in South America or in New Zealand. Actually, so we do know somebody in New Zealand. Is it Wellington though? Well, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm just name dropping people for you anyway.
No, we appreciate that, Kyle. It's a really good presentation and really good insights into the gaming industry and gaming development. And we do appreciate you coming out today.
I got one last question in the comment box.
Sure.
Right. AJ is asking if you have any experience or comments on VR and how similar or different it is to 3D game development.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So you do need another set of hardware, right? You need your goggles, but basically you don't need to do anything particularly special if you're using one of the main game engines. So in Unreal and Unity, they both have VR settings. Unreal has it built in. I'm not sure about Unity anymore. I've been out of Unity land for a little while, so I'm not sure what's built in anymore, but they usually have, the big difference I think between these two communities is Unreal is trying to put it all in one package, and Unity isn't. They have developers that develop tools for their engine, and you can develop for Unreal as well. In fact, Unreal has a really nice thing that Unity doesn't, which is you can download the source code and change their source code for your permission, which Unity doesn't let you do that. Now, is anybody going to really do that? I wouldn't. I can work within the tools that they already provide, but it's a nice for some programmers. That's like that is the thing that decides it if they have the source code or not. What was the question?
Yeah, just the different, like if there's a big kind of leap from that 3D animation to the VR, or if you had anything.
Yeah, right. So when you go into VR/AR, I worked for a place here in Portland called UAR, like instead of YouTube, it's UAR. And they were spending like millions of dollars on this tech for AR platform, and they just kind of got undercut by Apple and Google, and then you just have to spend so much money to like be bleeding edge technology that I don't recommend it. That I would wait until the technology is more proven, and you may not make the most money without being at the very forefront, but you won't lose the most money either. And I've steadily made a profit, but not much of one. Basically, I can continue to do what I love to do. That's what I want. For me personally, money has never been something I chased, but it has been something that you need to do to survive in America. So it's good to have these skill sets to have when you want to kind of come in and make money. So I'm currently working on a nonprofit actually that I'm building a nonprofit and working with people that are kind of like-minded, who want to help. And it's kind of crazy where we're kind of suffering from a lack of imagination, I feel, in a lot of ways. And some of these things can just be reworked if we have the will to do it, without asking permission, without doing anything. We just have the ability, because we can talk like this, and to have a very decentralized community that is super diverse and worldwide. So I'm pushing that way. I'm pushing those buttons, and anybody who wants to help me is very welcome. Okay, excellent.
Sign me up. That's totally up my alley.
Okay, cool.
We have all the solutions. We just have to implement them.
There's quite a few solutions bouncing
We have all
around.
the information to develop the solutions. We just need, the collaboration and implementation.
Right. I think, yeah. I am an advocate for reaching out and asking, where do you live? What is life like for you where you live? Those are two very good questions to just ask people in general. I feel like I'm kind of a native Portlander, but I know that Portland is more a place for fugitives and refugees than others. In fact, that's the title of Chuck Palahniuk's book about Portland is Fugitives and Refugees, and it's if you haven't found it, go find it. It's wonderful. Talks about all the crazy stuff that he's done. He's the author of Fight Club, if you didn't know who that was. But anyway, he did a tourist book on Portland, and it's phenomenal. But I do feel like Portlanders seem to not like Californians and stuff like this. And I think it's kind of ridiculous. If people are like, oh, is Portland changing because of the people moving here? I'm like, no, because I think Portland changes people instead. And sure, if you got a huge influx or something, it has changed. It has changed over my lifetime for sure. But I don't know that it's for the better at all. I just think that it is different now. And you are welcome from no matter where you originate in my world. Okay. Portland is not, I don't claim it necessarily, but I have I know how to view it. Okay. And if you would like to make money in Portland, talk to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle. This was a great presentation. We appreciate it so much.
Oh, of course. Anytime. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. And ping me on Discord. I'll let everybody at Tech Academy know what I'm up to, so you can interface with me later.
Yeah, I got on there. Feel free to email me also if you need to coordinate, get in touch with all that stuff. And thanks so much for participating, everyone. Thanks for recording, Rick. Thanks for presenting, Kyle. And so interesting. I want to learn so much more.
Okay, well, we'll be in touch then. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good day.